All right, strap yourselves in, everyone, because today we are taking a deep dive into the quantum realm
Oh, I like that.
to explore something that honestly sounds straight out of Star Trek.
Yeah,
Quantum teleportation.
here we go.
We've got some really cool research papers for this one.
Excellent.
Even a mind-blowing experiment from Northwestern University to unpack.
Yeah, it's really cool.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's just start with the basics.
Okay.
What are we even talking about when we say quantum teleportation?
Yeah, so it's not quite the beam me up Scotty scenario you might imagine from Star Trek.
Okay.
It's not like physically transporting objects from one place to another.
Right.
Instead, quantum teleportation is all about transferring quantum information. It's like the blueprint or a recipe that defines the state of a quantum particle.
Okay, so we're not teleporting people, we're teleporting the information that describes them.
Exactly. You got it.
That's still pretty wild, though.
Oh, yeah.
How does it even work?
Well, the magic lies in a clever combination of two things.
Okay.
Entanglement and classical communication.
Ooh, entanglement.
Yeah, so in the quantum world, particles can be linked together in a way that defies our everyday intuition.
Right.
This connection is called entanglement,
Yeah.
and it allows two particles to share a fate, no matter how far apart they are.
Okay.
Like, imagine having two coins
Yeah.
that always land on the same side, even if you flip them in different countries.
Wow.
That's kind of the idea behind entanglement.
Entanglement, that's the spooky action at a distance
Yeah, exactly.
that Einstein was so puzzled by.
Yeah, he called it spooky action.
Yeah, and it always does feel like we're bending the rules of reality a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
But how does this spooky connection, entanglement, actually help us teleport information?
Well, that's where the classical communication comes in.
Okay.
So it's not about sending information faster than light,
Right.
but rather it's about using regular communication channels.
Like email or phone calls.
Exactly, like email, phone calls, text messages, whatever. And using these regular communications alongside entanglement
Yeah.
to transfer quantum states.
Okay.
So it's kind of a delicate dance between the quantum world and the classical world,
Right.
and it's absolutely crucial to the process.
So it's not instantaneous like they show in the movies.
No, not quite.
There's still a need for regular communication.
Yeah, you need both entanglement and regular communication.
Alongside this spooky action.
Yeah,
But what exactly are we teleporting?
right.
Are we talking about the actual physical particle itself or something else?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's not the particle itself that gets teleported,
Okay.
but its quantum state.
Okay.
Think of it as the particle's personality or its unique set of instructions,
Hmm?
kind of like sending a recipe for a cake rather than the cake itself.
Right.
You can recreate the cake anywhere as long as you have the recipe.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like sending the instructions for how to beam a quantum particle rather than the particle itself.
Exact.
Interesting. So how does it all come together?
Okay.
Can we break down the teleportation process like step by step?
Sure.
I think a visual example might really help.
Okay, so let's imagine two of our favorite quantum friends.
Okay.
Alice and Bob.
Of course, Alice and Bob.
They're always up to something.
Yeah.
Imagine Alice wants to teleport the quantum state of a qubit, which is like the quantum version of a bit.
Right.
She wants to send that to Bob.
Yeah.
And Bob is, let's say, far, far away.
Right.
They're going to need 3 qubits to pull this off.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 qubits.
All right, so I'm picturing Alice and Bob each holding a qubit.
Okay.
What's the first step in this quantum teleportation protocol?
So first, Alice and Bob, they need to establish a shared resource.
Okay.
That's where entanglement comes in.
Entanglement.
They create a pair of entangled qubits, one for Alice and one for Bob.
Right.
It's like they each have 1/2 of a special pair of coins that are linked together. So now Alice keeps one of the entangled qubits, and Bob takes the other one far, far away.
So even though they're physically separated, their qubits are still connected through this entanglement.
Yes, through this invisible entanglement link.
Wow. So Alice has one entangled qubit, and she also has the qubit that she wants to teleport to Bob.
Exactly.
What happens next?
Now it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Alice performs a special measurement on her 2 qubits,
Okay.
the entangled one and the one whose state she wants to teleport.
Right.
This measurement doesn't reveal the unknown state itself,
Okay.
but it provides a clue,
Hmm.
like a coded message
Okay.
about how it relates to their entangled pair.
Okay, so she's not getting the full picture yet, just a clue.
Just a clue.
All right, so Alice has interacted her 2 qubits, and she's extracted some information about the state she wants to teleport.
Yes.
It's like she's figured out part of the recipe, but she still needs to send those missing instructions over to Bob.
Right.
Is that where the classical communication comes in?
You got it.
Okay.
Alice picks up the phone or sends a quick email, and she tells Bob the outcome of her measurement.
Okay. This classical information is the key that Bob needs to unlock the teleported state on his end.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
So Bob's far away with his entangled quibbit, and he gets a message from Alice.
Right.
It's not the state itself, it's the information he needs to reconstruct it on his quibbit.
Exactly, yes.
Like a coded message that tells him how to adjust his entangled quibbit to match the original one.
Precisely.
Okay.
Yeah. So based on Alice's message, Bob knows exactly what operation to apply to his entangled quibbit. It's a bit like solving a puzzle. He has all the pieces, and Alice's message provides the instructions for putting them together correctly.
I love that analogy. That's great.
Yeah.
So through this whole dance, this carefully choreographed dance of entanglement and classical communication.
It's like a quantum ballet.
Yeah, it's amazing. The quantum state has been teleported from Alice to Bob without ever physically traveling the distance.
Right. That's the key.
It's like magic.
It is pretty magical.
But let's bring it back down to Earth.
Sure.
We need to talk about a real-world example. Right, and this is where that groundbreaking experiment from Northwestern University comes in.
Oh, yeah?
They've actually managed to achieve quantum teleportation over something that you probably use every day, the internet.
Wait, hold on. They teleported quantum information over regular internet cables.
They did. That's what's so amazing about this.
I thought quantum teleportation required, like, extremely specialized, super sensitive equipment.
Well, it typically does, but
How did they manage to do that with everyday technology?
that's what makes this experiment so exciting. They found a way to leverage existing infrastructure
Okay.
for this really delicate quantum process. So instead of relying on expensive and specialized equipment, they used modified versions of commercially available fiber optic cables.
The kind that carry our internet traffic.
Exactly.
So they were kind of hacking the internet to send quantum information.
That's a great way to put it. They're hacking the internet with quantum.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It's really clever.
But how did they overcome the noise and the imperfections that are inherent in these everyday cables?
Right, that's the big question.
Because aren't quantum states incredibly fragile and prone to errors?
Yeah, they are notoriously sensitive to disturbances. You're absolutely right.
Right.
But the researchers at Northwestern were very clever. They
Yeah.
employed really cool techniques to combat the noise and ensure the fidelity of the teleported information.
Can you give us a little peek under the hood?
Sure.
What were some of the key strategies that they used to make this work?
Okay, well, one of their secret weapons was a technique called entanglement purification.
Entanglement purification.
Yeah, so it's like cleaning up the entanglement between the quibbits, removing any errors or noise that might have crept in during the transmission. Imagine the quibbits are like phone lines, and sometimes there's static that interferes with the call. Entanglement purification helps to clear up that static,
Okay.
ensuring a clear connection for the quantum information.
So they're giving the entanglement a little spa treatment.
Exactly. They're pampering the entanglement.
Making sure that it arrives in pristine condition.
It's got to be perfect.
Okay, I love that. But I'm guessing entanglement purification wasn't their only trick.
Oh, no, they had more up their sleeve.
What else did they do to ensure that the information was teleported accurately?
They also used very sophisticated error correction codes.
Yeah.
These are like built-in safety nets
Okay.
for the quantum information.
Yeah.
These codes add redundancy to the quantum state,
Right.
making it more resilient to errors.
So even if something goes wrong, there's a backup.
Exactly. There's always a backup plan.
It's like sending multiple copies of a message. Even if one copy gets corrupted, you can still reconstruct the original.
Exactly. You got it.
So they figured out how to use regular internet cables,
Yeah.
and they protected the fragile quantum information
Right.
during transmission.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
What else did they do that was so groundbreaking?
Well, they made some very strategic choices about the type of quantum information that they were teleporting. They focused on the state of a single photon, a particle of light.
Okay.
Photons are particularly well suited for this task because they can travel long distances through optical fibers without losing much of their quantum properties. So they're like the marathon runners of the quantum world.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, they can go the distance.
So they chose the most robust and reliable quantum messenger.
Exactly. They picked the best athlete for the job.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What else makes photons a good choice for this type of teleportation?
Well, they used a special type of entangled photon pair
Okay.
called a Bell state.
A Bell state.
So think of it as the strongest possible type of entanglement between two photons.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like two best friends that are always on the same wavelength no matter what.
Oh, I like that.
They're inseparable.
So it's like choosing the most powerful, spooky action connection possible
Exactly.
to make sure their experiment works reliably.
Got it.
Can you walk us through how they actually set up the teleportation using these entangled photons?
Sure. So they carefully prepared a Bell state
Mm-hmm.
with one photon going to Alice,
Okay.
our sender,
Right.
and the other photon going to Bob, our receiver.
Right.
Then Alice performed a special measurement called a Bell measurement
Okay.
on her photon and the photon whose state she wanted to teleport.
Okay, that Bell measurement, is that where they extract information about the state being teleported?
Exactly. It's like a decoder ring,
Okay.
revealing how the unknown state is related to the entangled photon pair.
Hmm.
So it doesn't tell Alice the exact state,
Right.
but it gives her a clue, a code that she can then communicate to Bob.
Right, so it's like she's not telling Bob the exact recipe, but she's giving him the key ingredient
Precisely.
that he needs to unlock the full recipe on his end.
Exactly.
Okay.
And armed with this code, which is just a few bits of classical information sent over the internet,
Right.
Bob can then apply a specific transformation to his photon to recreate the original state.
To recreate what Alice wanted to teleport.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
It sounds like they've cracked the code
They really have.
for sending quantum information through existing internet infrastructure.
I think they're onto something big.
Yeah, this is incredible.
It is, and it's just the beginning.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, the implications of this breakthrough are huge.
Okay.
It's opening up a whole new world.
All right, well, let's take a closer look then
Sure.
at what makes the Northwestern experiment so unique and what it means for the future of quantum technology.
Absolutely.
This is exciting.
It is very exciting.
Okay, so we've talked about how the Northwestern team achieved quantum teleportation over the internet.
Right.
But what's even more impressive is what they're aiming for next.
Yes.
They mentioned something called entanglement swapping.
Yes, entanglement swapping.
What is that and why is it so important?
Okay, so entanglement swapping is like taking quantum teleportation to the next level. Imagine, instead of teleporting the state of a single particle, you could actually teleport the entanglement itself.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So you're saying they can create entanglement remotely?
Yes. That's the ideal.
That sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
It does. It's pretty wild.
How does that even work?
So it involves a clever three-way dance between, you guessed it,
Let me guess. Is it Alice and Bob?
Alice and Bob,
They're back.
and a third party, we'll call him Charlie.
Okay, so we got Alice, Bob, and Charlie.
Yep, the quantum crew.
Okay, so Alice and Bob each start with their own set of entangled particles.
Right.
And then they each send one of their entangled particles over to Charlie.
Exactly.
Okay, so now Charlie has two particles,
Yeah.
one from Alice and one from Bob.
Yes.
But these two particles have never directly interacted before.
Right, they've never met.
What does Charlie do with them?
So Charlie performs a special measurement on those two particles.
Okay.
Similar to the Bell measurement we talked about earlier.
Right.
But here's the mind-blowing part.
Okay.
This measurement doesn't just reveal information about the particles.
Okay.
It actually entangles the two particles that Alice and Bob kept.
Whoa, hold on. So even though Alice and Bob's remaining particles have never met,
Yeah.
they're suddenly linked by this spooky entanglement.
They are, just because of what Charlie did.
That's insane.
It's crazy, right?
But why is this entanglement swapping so important for building a quantum internet?
Okay, so think about it this way.
Okay.
If we want to build a large-scale quantum network,
Yeah.
we can't rely on directly entangling particles across vast distances.
Right.
Because entanglement is fragile.
Yeah.
It tends to degrade over long distances. It's
Well-
like trying to maintain a phone conversation over a really bad connection.
Right. The signal gets weaker and weaker.
Exactly. The farther apart you are, the worse it gets.
So entanglement swapping is kind of like having a relay station for quantum information.
That's a great way to put it.
Instead of trying to maintain one long, fragile entanglement link, you can create shorter, more manageable links between nearby nodes.
Exactly.
And then swap entanglement to connect them all together.
You got it. That's the idea.
That's a really cool analogy.
Thanks.
If the Northwestern team can achieve entanglement swapping using regular internet cables,
Right.
It would be a huge step towards building a practical quantum internet.
Absolutely. It's like laying the foundation for a whole new way of communicating.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly exciting time for quantum technology.
It really is.
And entanglement swapping isn't the only application that has researchers buzzing.
No, not at all.
Have you heard about blind quantum computing?
Oh, yeah, blind quantum computing. That's an interesting one.
That sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
Okay, so imagine you have a complex calculation that you need to run,
Okay.
but you don't want anyone else to see your data
Right.
or even know what you're calculating.
Hmm.
It's like needing to send a super secret message that only the intended recipient can decode.
Okay, I'm following. So how does blind quantum computing help with this?
Well, it leverages the power of quantum teleportation and entanglement to ensure privacy and security.
Okay.
So let's say Alice has a problem she wants to solve,
Right.
but she doesn't trust anyone else with her data.
Okay.
She can use quantum teleportation to send her problem to Bob's quantum computer,
Okay.
but in a completely encoded form.
So she's essentially sending a puzzle to Bob,
Yeah,
but the puzzle is scrambled in a way that only she knows how to unscramble.
exactly. That's a good way to think about it.
Okay.
So Bob can run the computation on this encoded puzzle without ever knowing what Alice's original problem was.
Wow, that's amazing.
And because the information is teleported, it's inherently secure.
Right, because of those quantum properties.
Yeah, exactly. Any attempt to eavesdrop would be immediately detected.
That's incredible.
It's like sending a secret message through a quantum courier service.
I like that.
Yeah.
But how does Alice get the results back
Right.
without compromising her privacy?
So Bob can teleport the results back to Alice
Okay.
using the same techniques. Again, the information is transmitted securely,
Right.
and only Alice can decode the results using her secret key.
This is mind-blowing. It seems like quantum teleportation could unlock a whole new level of privacy and security in computing.
Yeah, it has the potential to revolutionize cybersecurity.
But let's not forget about the fundamental science that underpins all of this.
Right, the foundation.
I'm curious, how are researchers using quantum teleportation to probe the mysteries of the quantum world itself?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So quantum teleportation isn't just a tool for building technologies.
Okay.
It's also a really powerful tool for exploring the foundations of quantum mechanics. Researchers are using it to conduct experiments that were once considered just thought experiments.
Wow.
They're taking these mind-bending concepts from the realm of theory
Yeah.
and putting them to the test in the real world.
So they're using teleportation to investigate questions about non-locality.
Exactly.
That bizarre connection between entangled particles.
Yeah.
The very nature of measurement in quantum mechanics.
It's like using a new scientific instrument to probe the deepest mysteries of the universe.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
We've gone from teleporting a single quantum state
Right.
to teleporting entanglement itself.
Yeah.
And now we're using teleportation to explore the fundamental laws of physics.
It's amazing how far we've come.
It seems like the possibilities are endless.
I think you're right. The future of quantum teleportation is wide open.
The field is evolving at an incredible pace.
It really is. There's so much happening right now.
Researchers are constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Pushing the limits, always innovating.
But even with all these advancements, there are still so many open questions and exciting frontiers to explore.
Oh, absolutely. We're just scratching the surface.
That's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, the mystery keeps us going.
Speaking of frontiers, what are some of the big challenges that researchers are tackling right now?
Right, so one of the biggest challenges is scaling up these techniques.
Okay.
Right now, we're mostly teleporting the states of single particles. But to build a practical quantum internet, we need to be able to teleport the states of much larger and more complex systems.
So it's like going from sending a single text message
Yeah.
to streaming a high-definition movie.
Exactly, a huge leap in complexity.
What are some of the other hurdles that researchers are facing?
Another major challenge is developing efficient quantum memories. Quantum states are incredibly fragile.
Right.
And they tend to decay over time.
Yeah.
It's like trying to store a delicate snowflake.
Yeah, it melts away quickly.
It does, unless you have a special container to preserve it.
Right.
We need to find ways to store quantum information for longer periods to make quantum communication more practical.
Right. So it's like we need to build a better freezer for these delicate quantum states.
Exactly. A quantum freezer.
I love it.
Keep those qubits cold.
What else is on the to-do list for quantum researchers?
So developing robust quantum repeaters is crucial for long-distance communication.
Quantum repeaters.
Just like with regular communication signals,
Yeah.
quantum signals weaken over long distances.
Right, makes sense.
Quantum repeaters are like signal boosters
Okay.
that can amplify and purify the quantum signal,
Okay.
extending the range of quantum communication.
So it's like the cell phone towers that we rely on
Yeah,
to
exactly.
get clear mobile connections.
They help to relay the signal,
Yeah.
prevent it from fading away.
What about some of the more far out ideas?
The really crazy stuff.
Yeah, what are some of the more futuristic applications that researchers are dreaming of?
So one idea that captures the imagination
Okay.
is using quantum teleportation for space-based communication.
Hmm.
Imagine sending quantum information between satellites and ground stations,
Wow.
creating a secure communication network that spans the globe.
Wow. A quantum internet in space.
That's the dream.
That would be incredible.
It would be revolutionary.
But space is a harsh environment.
Oh, absolutely.
How would we even get these delicate quantum systems up there and protect them from radiation and all those hazards?
That's a major engineering challenge for sure.
Right.
But researchers are already making progress in this area.
Oh.
Some groups have successfully demonstrated quantum entanglement between photons transmitted through the atmosphere, which paves the way for satellite-based quantum communication.
It's like we're beaming entanglement into the heavens.
We are. It's pretty amazing.
Are there any other space-based applications for quantum teleportation
Oh, yeah.
that researchers are excited about?
Some even envision using teleportation to test fundamental physics in space, exploring the interplay of gravity and quantum phenomena.
Wow. Taking our quantum experiments to a whole new level.
To the final frontier.
This is truly mind-blowing.
It is. Quantum teleportation is not just a technological marvel.
Yeah.
It's a window into the deepest mysteries of the universe.
It's a reminder that we're still just scratching the surface of what's possible with quantum technology.
Absolutely. We've only just begun.
Okay, before we get too lost in the cosmos,
Yeah. Let's come back down to Earth.
let's take a moment to reflect on the societal implications of all of this.
Right. The bigger picture.
As we move towards this quantum future,
Yeah.
what are some of the ethical considerations that we need to keep in mind?
That's a really important question.
It's definitely mind-blowing to think about the implications of all of this, especially as these technologies become more powerful and accessible. What are some of the specific ethical challenges we should be thinking about?
Well, one big one is as quantum computers become more sophisticated, they could potentially crack the encryption codes that protect our online data.
So it's like the internet security we rely on today could become obsolete.
Yeah, it's a concern.
That's a pretty scary thought.
It definitely is, but thankfully researchers are already working on developing quantum-resistant encryption algorithms.
Okay.
It's kind of a cat and mouse game, you know?
Yeah.
But it's essential to stay one step ahead to ensure our privacy and security in the quantum age.
Right. We need to make sure the benefits of quantum technology are accessible to everyone and not just a select few.
Exactly. That's a key point.
Yeah. What other ethical considerations should we be aware of?
We need to be very mindful of the potential for bias in quantum algorithms. Just like with any artificial intelligence, if the data used to train a quantum algorithm is biased, the results could perpetuate existing inequalities.
So it's not just about building these powerful tools.
No.
It's about making sure they're used fairly and responsibly.
Absolutely. We need to have open and honest conversations about the potential societal impact of quantum technology, involving not just scientists and engineers, but also policymakers, ethicists, and the general public.
Yeah. It's about making sure that these advancements benefit all of humanity.
Exactly. Everyone, not just a select few.
It's a lot to consider, but I'm glad we're having these discussions now while the technology is still developing.
Me too. It's important to be proactive.
It's like we're laying the groundwork for a responsible and equitable quantum future.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. We're building the ethical framework for the quantum age.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
I agree.
I feel like I've gained a whole new appreciation for the complexities and possibilities of quantum teleportation and this burgeoning quantum internet.
Yeah, it's a fascinating field, and it's moving so quickly. Who knows what incredible breakthroughs await us in the years to come.
I can't wait to find out. To our listeners, if you're as intrigued by all of this as we are, be sure to check out the links to the research and articles we've discussed in the show notes. There's a whole universe of quantum wonders waiting to be explored.
The future is quantum. It's full of possibilities.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.